Well, hey there, Scholarly Gamers, and welcome to this week's episode of Jungle Drums. I'm once again on my own, unfortunately. Hey, things happen, but it's cool. It's fine. It's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. So I'm just going to try to make this week's episode actually quite brief. Don't have too many topics to cover, but we've got a few things that have popped up. Some surprising, some not. In fact, just fresh off the press, just earlier today, there was an announcement on Twitter, and so let's see, I'll just use this article here from Eurogamer.net, and of course this is about the Sea of Thieves final beta. It is here, open to everyone on Xbox One and the PC. Yes, we knew that a final beta was going to be coming at some point, but just nobody knew when exactly. Well, sure enough, today on Twitter, the Sea of Thieves team tweeted out that yes, they were going to be doing this final beta, just running for a very limited time from the 9th, which is today, through the 11th, I believe. Yes, the final beta is going to come to a close on Sunday, March 11th at 10 a.m. GMT. That's our time over here in the UK. So there you go. If you have missed the previous technical tests, the alphas, this is your chance, because this is going to be open to everyone. You don't need to be in the insider program or anything like that. So if you've got an Xbox, great, you can download it. If you've got a PC, yes, you can do it as well. It's a great game. I mean, it is, it's very graphically, it's good looking. As far as gameplay, it is a lot of fun. I know in the past there have been quite a few multiplayer issues and whatnot. But, you can play the game solo. Although it can be a little bit tricky, but if you've got 3 other friends, I'll tell you what, playing Sea of Thieves in a pack of 4 is it's really, really good fun. Whether or not the game is going to be worth it long term, I really can't say. It's a game that I was interested in getting. My friends and I were all kind of on the fence with it. And it's just, we're unsure about the repetitiveness of it. Now, I know that might sound funny, because when you look at something like Monster Hunter World, come on, that's grindy as all hell, right? But it just doesn't feel super repetitive. Whereas in Sea of Thieves, I kind of found myself feeling, oh, this is very samey. How many times do you, treasure map, okay, go find island, get treasure, right, pick treasure up and take it. It just, I don't know, but I have faith in the team over at Sea of Thieves that they're gonna try to do some interesting stuff. In fact, if you fire up the final beta this weekend, you will see that there is a new mode, almost like a horde mode, which is involving pirate forts. Quite interesting. So whenever an ominous skull, basically a beacon of sorts, appears above an island, ships have the option of going over to the island to ward off the skeletal hordes. There's plenty of treasure for everyone who takes part, but what's quite interesting is it says here that there's only one key. So, I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I don't doubt for a second that this weekend we're probably going to see content creators on Mixer, Twitcher, and Twitcher. Ooh, an editor. Interesting. Yeah, I'm a Twitcher. No, Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube this weekend. We will most likely see people showcasing this new game mode, because, of course, the final beta has no restrictions. There's no kind of NDA. You can stream it to your heart's content. So I look forward to seeing that. Well, I don't know if I'll get around to partaking this weekend. I'll see what's going on. I do have a few projects that I need to take care of, but we'll see. We'll see if I can get around to it. Speaking of games that are coming out, this was another quite a cool and surprising announcement yesterday. Was in regards to The Division. So I've just sourced a headline here from Kotaku. I know, Kotaku, but hey, Ubisoft came out and said, look, they're making The Division 2. So the official reveal is going to be at E3 this year. Now, for the cynics out there, we all know when The Division originally was showcased at E3 many, many years ago, the E3 footage looked absolutely astounding. And then, of course, what we got, when the game finally came out was quite a bit different, to say the least. Now, I'm not trying to talk smack about The Division. Anyone that knows me knows that I love the game, right? I play quite a bit of it. I've put plenty of hours into that. I mean, yes, I've played a lot of Monster Hunter World, but my hours in Monster Hunter World just completely pale in comparison to the amount of hours I have on the streets of New York City within The Division. So, The Division 2, cool, great, look forward to it. I've got a lot of faith in this title. I know it's easy to think, oh, wait a minute, are we going to get burned like we did with Destiny 2? But keep in mind, the team over at Massive, these guys and gals, they've been listening to the community from day one. There's very few games I know of that their actual development team have done a weekly stream since launch. Actually, before launch, if memory serves me correctly. Every week, Massive does a state of the game. Well, not every week. Occasionally, they do have to take a week off. But, you know, they're always there. They're always listening. This is a company that they had, one of their DLCs was set to launch, right? And, of course, we all know DLC means money, right? They cancelled it, right? Well, they delayed it. They said, no, hold on, we're not going to release that DLC. We need to try to fix our game. And that was when they went to the process and started to recruit for the Elite Task Force. And of course, the Elite Task Force was just gamers, the Division players that were pulled in, you know, to do testing and get their feedback and their opinions, you know, how they think the game should be crafted moving forward. That is why now, fast forward, and The Division in its current state is a fabulous game. You know, if you have just wrote it off from way back when, honestly, you should give it a revisit. Yes, there's a lot of things that require the new DLC, but, you know, given the sales that are going on, you can probably get those for relatively inexpensive, you know, a fairly low price. It is a good game, and so it's going to be really exciting to see what they do with The Division 2, because, you know, there was story in The Division. It was there if you were willing to go find it. Most of it, you know, was, yes, during the main story, you know, bits and pieces were told, but when you went and collected all of the collectibles, you know, the audio tapes, the pictures, you know, all these little things, it just, that kind of built the story up even more. So hopefully it'll be good to see what kind of story they're going to go with The Division 2, you know, how much longer after the dollar flu, you know, are things happening. Is it going to be in New York even? Is it going to be in another city? Who knows? For the Division fans out there, though, you might be a bit worried, you know, that, oh, wait a minute, if they've announced The Division 2, then they're just going to be wiping their hands of the original game, right? No, not at all. They have, in fact, actually, in addition to announcing The Division 2, have released a roadmap for this year. Let's see if I can zoom this in a little bit. Right, so March obviously was the March celebration. If you've logged in, you'll see you've got a free emote. They were doing all sorts of other great things. The month of March, we've got the weekly global events, which is fabulous. If you've missed out on those classified sets, now's your chance to get back in there and try to get the remaining pieces you need. Come in April, and oh look what we're getting. Update 1.8.1, the Xbox One X patch, and the drop rate review. A lot of changes are coming to the way gear's going to drop, and also the way that the classified caches are going to work. I highly recommend looking at the patch notes for the full detail on that. But for the Xbox One X patch, I can't wait, because the game does look good in its current state, but oh, I'm hoping that patch is really going to add quite a bit of graphical eye candy for us. In May, there's a global event called Onslaught. Then go into June, right? And this is where things are happening once again. There's a new update, 1.8.2, and this whole concept of the new shields coming in. Again, you're going to have to read up on that yourself, I'm afraid. Global events, Outbreak, Assault, Strike, Ambush, taking us all the way through September. So The Division is very much not dead at all. You know, yes, the numbers had declined quite steadily for quite a long period of time, but this year they jumped right back up with all this these new changes and whatnot they've done. So definitely worth taking a look at it. I wouldn't doubt that sometime again this year, The Division will probably do a free play weekend. You know, so if you're still unsure about whether or not it's a game for you, maybe wait till one of those weekends. I know it can be tough for a solo player. I do a lot of solo play, but it takes, a certain mentality, I suppose, to kind of stomach through that. You can quite easily find groups in the game, but if you have a group of friends, it just makes the game so much better. But there we go. The Division 2, we'll be watching out at E3 to see what kind of interesting information we can find out. That is for sure. Right, next bit of gaming news is about Fortnite Battle Royale, which Fortnite Battle Royale is just, it's blowing up, isn't it? I mean, you look on Mixer, you look on Twitch, and a lot of people are playing it. I don't know the exact numbers, but I've seen a few claims that Fortnite is winning in this battle against PUBG. But hey, who knows? Oh, excuse me. But anyway, so this latest bit of news about Fortnite Battle Royale is quite interesting. I just got this from one of the local newspapers over here, The Sun, and Fortnite Battle Royale is coming to mobile. Yeah, so get this. The subtext of this headline says the world's biggest Battle Royale game. So there you go. There's the claim right there. It's bigger than PUBG. Is jumping from PCs and consoles to smartphones and tablets. And get this, it's going to have cross-play support. So interesting. Basically, Epic had announced that the Apple operating system, iOS, right, will be getting a mobile port of the BR title first, with Android to follow in the coming months. The quotes here saying, look, it's promising the same insane gaming experience on mobile, same gameplay, same map, same content, and action. To get involved, all you have to do is sign up for the Invite event on iOS, which kicks off on March 12th. So that's Monday just coming up. Emails containing a download link for the game will start rolling out shortly after that. Epic has said that not everyone will get an invite right away, but it's going to be trying to add more players quite regularly over the coming months. If you are lucky enough to get an invite, you'll be able to send additional game codes to your friends. So don't be stingy, right? If you get into it and you want other people to play with you, then send out those invites, as much as you can. This new mobile version of Fortnite BR will support cross-play and cross-progression between iOS and PlayStation 4, PC, and Mac, with Android promised in the future. So notice there's nothing said about Xbox. We know that the whole cross-play support between PlayStation and Xbox is very kind of muddied water anyway. We've heard that it is possible, but someone on one of the sides doesn't want to play ball. But hey, look, at least for this, it seems that at least the PS4, PC, Mac, and the mobile players will be able to play together. But yeah, so there you go. Just getting some more numbers here saying that as of December, the game, as a whole, Fortnite BR, had racked up 40 million game downloads. And yeah, it actually states here that it recently overtook PUBG for the highest number of concurrent players, a whopping 3.4 million people online and gaming, all playing Fortnite at the same time. So there you go. If you're hooked on Fortnite, soon you will be able to play it on your mobile device, and you'll be able to play it against folk on PS4 and PC. So quite interesting stuff. Hey, this isn't loaded. Speaking of PCs, we've been patiently waiting, for the next graphics cards to come out. All eyes had been on AMD Vega, and, we all hoped that they were going to be amazing video cards, and what we actually got were decent. They were good, but they paled in comparison to Nvidia's range. The 1080 Ti's, the Titan X, Titan XPs, these cards were just on a different level performance-wise compared to the AMD cards. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that Nvidia has not really been in any kind of real rush to come out with, their next best thing. Because let's be honest, no one's really, chopping at their heels, are they? I mean, they don't. There's no pressure on them. They're at the top. There's nothing to worry about. But for the gamers out there, we know that, look, if you want to play AAA brand new titles at 4K, even a single 1080 Ti is going to have issues playing those games at 60 FPS with the details all set to ultra. If you want to get 60, you're really looking at having to go SLI. And with the current state of the way the graphics cards are priced, thanks to the cryptocurrency miners, that's a really expensive ask. So, shouldn't come as a surprise that yes, Nvidia is working on something. Those in the know have heard about it. It's codenamed. That's a YouTube trailer of some kind. Rude. So Turing is on its way. So I sourced this from Tech Radar, and this is about the release date, news, and rumors. So Turing, because Pascal is the current generation of NVIDIA cards, and they're fabulous. They're really, really, really good. There's the Volta architecture, which is really aimed more at, professionals, right? It's similar to their old Quadro cards, right? Volta is about giving, extra performance for people that use CAD, other types of 3D software. But if you look at some of the benchmarks, those the Volta cards actually perform really well in gaming. But so Turing is one of these code names. And Turing, it does sound quite good. Obviously, this will be the 11th generation, I believe, of NVIDIA card, because Pascal is the 10 series. I think that's right. I could be wrong, but anyway, when we jumped from Maxwell to Pascal, we saw quite a difference performance-wise. And so hopefully when we see this jump to the 11th gen to what could possibly be Turing, hopefully we're going to be actually getting true 4K 60 frame per second gameplay from a single video card. The rumors are saying it should be out in July, so we've still got a few months to wait, but with any luck, we'll start seeing some more information. Some of the tech tubers out there will hopefully get their hands on some of the early versions and do some benchmarks for us. And pricing, we can only hope that it's not going to be too much more than what cards currently are, and by that I mean the MSRP, not what people are actually selling them for, because it's ridiculous. We're at one of these very rare moments in gaming and PC history that it honestly, at the moment, if you're talking about wanting to build a high-end gaming rig, it is cheaper for you to buy it from somebody, right? As in a builder of some kind, whether that's CyberPower, whether that's Respawn Gaming, a company over here in the UK, absolutely brilliant. Utopia, all the different companies. You're better off at the moment. It'll be cheaper to purchase a pre-built system than build it yourself, if you're going for the high-end parts, because RAM, graphics cards, and even hard drives at the moment are at elevated or inflated prices. So we'll have to see. Hopefully the next gen NVIDIA cards won't be crazily priced. So we'll just have to see how that works out. One of the big questions about Turing is what kind of specs are we going to be looking at? We know that NVIDIA already came out with 12 nanometer, manufacturing on their GPUs, the actual chips on the graphics card themselves. So they did that on Volta, so there's a good chance we're probably going to get 12 nanometer silicone on the Turing. But aside from that, we don't know. We don't know if Turing cards are going to have GDDR6 or if they're going to be using HBM2, right? These are the different types of memory you can use on a video card. HBM2, which the Vegas use, is technically superior, but it's usually a lot more pricier, and it's a little bit more difficult during the manufacturing process. Whereas DDR6 would be cheaper in the grand scheme of things, and could potentially give equal performance. But it depends on pricing. The way that memory prices have inflated, that affects manufacturers as well. It means that depending on what they can get their hands on, will probably kind of force their hand, so to speak, as to whether to go the GDDR6 or the HBM2 route. Because the Titan V, which had just recently came out, does have HBM2, so don't know. Maybe they'll do mainstream cards with the GDDR6, but then their next, their Turing Titan or whatever, the Titan T, maybe? Could be. You heard it here first. Maybe that'll feature HBM2. But so there you go. The new NVIDIA cards will be coming out this year. And with any luck, they will be affordable. And even better, maybe that'll mean that the older cards will drop down in price. Because whilst I've got a 1060, I'll be honest, it'd be quite nice to go up a notch. Like maybe a 1070 Ti, I could deal with that. Of course, anything higher would be even better. But, we'll have to see. Hopefully the prices of those can come down a little bit. Right. I want to discuss something very quickly, and you know the deal here, right? We usually just strictly talk about tech or strictly talk about gaming of some kind. We never delve in the politics, right? It's just one of those topics that there's just no point in getting into. But due to recent events, I think it's time that we have to take a look at this story. And of course, the story I'm talking about, and it's all over the place, all over social media, all over the internet, in the newspaper headlines. And this is about the recent developments with the US looking at the link between gaming and violence. This link I just got from TechCrunch, and it's about Trump's take on gaming and violence and how it was wrong in the 90s and it's twice as wrong now. Gaming and violence is one of these things that, I went to school years ago, studied psychology, and I've been involved in that whole realm for quite a while. And, there's no hard evidence yet of the link. We've tried to prove these links with, films and games, whether they desensitize people. You could say the same for reading books. It's just, it's quite frustrating, right? There's been no kind of definitive answer, and is there a link? Does one influence the other? Do video games make people better soldiers? I mean, I know I was in the military, and being a soldier made me better at video games, but I wouldn't say the opposite was true. But anyway, regardless of how you feel about this, there had been a meeting at the White House, and the article here puts it quite well, saying that it frames it as the latest chapter in a long, misguided crusade against video games. And it's one of these things, especially when they're looking at video games, whereas the real issues at the moment are things like gun control, the actual safety of children. But, oh well, whatever. It's just one of these things. If you go look on YouTube, I don't know if they've got it pulled down yet or whatever. The White House had published a sizzle reel that was cut from violent games, and yeah, it was interesting, I suppose. It just again, I don't want to get into. I just wanted to highlight it because it's crazy. I mean, the whole field of cyber psychology is still relatively young. We're still looking into things. We're still trying to understand things. Social media has a much bigger impact, I would say, on the psychology of youngsters than video games do. Because at least with video games, people know, especially kids, they know it's an escape, right? This is the whole point. When you sit down and watch a film or read a book or play a video game, it's about enjoyment. It's about escapism. It's not really a case of you get enjoyment from killing things in a video game. It's not about that. That is why there's games that can symbolize, defeat without having to be gory and nasty, right? You can do this. Look at games like Splatoon, right? That's actually a violent game, yet there's no blood and guts, right? I mean, it's just crazy. It's escapism, right? We know this, and to try to find this link that video games will desensitize people and make them more partial to be murderers or shooters or killers. It's Yeah, the news desensitizes kids to violence because they see it every single day on their news, on their Twitter and Facebook feeds. That's desensitizing them. If not just as much, or if probably more than video games do. But anyway, rant over. The White House said regarding their meeting in an official statement, during today's meeting, the group spoke with the president about the effect that violent video games have on our youth, especially young males. The president acknowledged some studies have indicated there is a correlation between video game violence and real violence. The conversation centered on whether violent video games, including games that graphically simulate killing, desensitize our community to violence. It's no. Yes, exposure to these things, they no doubt have psychological effects, but it's about how you frame them, right? If a video game is taken for what it is, a video game, an entertainment, a mode of entertainment, then as long as you've framed it, and guess what? You need to do a bit of parenting here. It shouldn't have a horrible, long-lasting effect on children, right? I mean, yes, you need to use your judgment here. You don't want a young child to be watching a gory horror film that's rated 18. There's ratings out there for a reason. And it's the same with video games. We talk about these horrible, violent video games are affecting our kids. And, well, okay, but where are the parents here? If a game's rated M, the kids shouldn't be playing it in the first place. But, if I don't get it, they're going to cry and they're going to throw a tantrum. Yeah, guess what? That's parenting. That's what happens. You don't just, if you give your kid everything they want, they're not going to grow up into a nice, balanced adult. I'm so sick and tired of this blame culture we live in, where everything has to be, someone gets cancer and they blame it on this. Oh, I didn't know that bacon had high cholesterol and would give me heart disease. Take some bloody responsibility. And it's the same with video games. Yes, some video games are probably not appropriate for young people, so don't let young people play them. Likewise, films and books, you wouldn't give children adult books to read, ones that are graphic in nature. But yet with video games, it's absolutely fine to allow children access to something they shouldn't have access to because we need to appease them. It really does irritate me when it comes to this whole link between video games and violence. It's just, it is. I said it gets to me. It really, really does. I'm someone who's played video games all of my life. I remember my mother saying, that they were good for your hand-to-eye coordination, right? She supported them, but not sitting in all day and playing them for 9 hours or anything. We're talking about balance here. Go out, play out in the sun with your friends. Go fishing, go do this. And yes, on a rainy day or something, or likewise when you get back in, playing for a couple hours before dinner or maybe after dinner, right? I mean, it's about balance. And, when it comes to things like violence, you have to try to minimize exposure to violence, obviously, to young people. But unfortunately, when you look at social media, they're already being exposed. And I'm sorry, the impact of actual real-world events, things like, the school shootings, the terrorism that occurs on a daily basis, these are more impactful. These are the things that are desensitizing our nations to violence and these acts, because they're happening all the goddamn time, right? It's not the video games that are causing these things. If anything, now kids are playing these video games to escape from the horrible stuff that's happening in the world right now. Anyway, look, you know what to do. Once politicians get involved and they start doing all this stuff, it's up to you, the gamers, to actually, make a stand, write to your local congressman, senator, if you're over in the States. If you're here in the UK, you know what to do, write to your local councilman or councilwoman, anywhere in the world, you can make your voice heard, take to social media, don't let this conversation be one-sided. We need to speak up. It's like the net neutrality thing. That is, a separate issue. But now, okay, it's one thing they want to mess with our internet. Now they want to mess with games? Please. Anyway, right. Rant over. That's enough drumming on about that. It gets me. It'd be one thing if there was science behind it, but again, it's still too early. The psychologists are trying to understand it. They're trying to do good studies, and get actual proper data so we can see. But, again, video games are going to be no different from any other form of entertainment media. Films, television, books, comics, right? I know they're different because of the interactivity, rather than being a passenger when you're watching. But, still, it's got to be very similar in the world of psychology, I would think, for the impact it has. So, now that Jungle is done drumming on about that, look, hey, thanks for enduring it, right? Hopefully next week we'll have the whole gang together. Again, it's just with these work schedules and everyone's doing different things, it's been tricky for us to get together. And then, of course, with time zones, if I'm trying to catch any of my friends over in North America to get them to come on the show, it requires quite a bit of flexibility between me and, of course, them, and trying to line everything up. But hey, we'll get there. We will get there. As per usual, look, check out the rest of ScholarlyGamers.com. We've got some reviews that came out this week for some games that were great, some games that weren't so great. I believe there's still the competition going on Facebook and Twitter. Correct me if I'm wrong. Of course, for Kingdom Come Deliverance, make sure to check out the SG Facebook and Twitter for the details on those. And of course, this weekend, no doubt there's going to be plenty of Scholarly Gamers streaming at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if there'll be a few cheeky Sea of Thieves streams over the weekend. So make sure to check out the streaming page and see who's live over the weekend. Well, hey, great. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. And we will catch you again next week. And have to see what news occurs in the next week, won't we? Anyway, take it easy. Have a great weekend. I'll catch you next time on Jungle Drums.